Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you recall from the last video, we did a bittersweet farewell to the Toro GM 1600. It was definitely an emotional time to let the machine go. It truly was an amazing machine and became a legend here on the channel. It did all the heavy lifting, turning my lawn into something ordinary, into something I genuinely was very proud of. I'm thrilled to report that the new owner is loving it as I expected him to. So the mower is definitely in good hands. But as they say, when a chapter ends, another one begins. But this time, we're not just turning the page. We're starting an entirely new book. And with this new chapter, there's a new start with fresh beginnings and exciting new things for my lawn. I've been hinting this for a while, and I've been holding back on the anticipation. So without further ado, let's get on with the reveal. That's right, I went with another Toro, but this time it's the Greensmaster 1026, a newer model of the predecessor of the 1600. This particular model is a 2020 model. It's an 11 blade reel. Bought it from a guy on Facebook. Shout out to Kevin Brown. He's a new and upcoming greens mower salesperson, and I'll leave his description details below if you're interested in getting some mowers from him. But this particular model has 454 hours on it. The new series comes with Edge Series reels and Edge Match Bedknife. I'll get into that later on in the video. But overall, what is the reason? Why did I sell my 1600 to get a 1026? Two big reasons why I decided to get this mower and sell my 1600 was because the cutting unit is detachable. Similar to the Flex model of the Toros, you can remove this cutting unit and take it to a grinding shop and get the blades grind rather than having to take the whole mower. So that's what's great about the versatility of this, that you're able to just take a section of it and take it for a grind rather than taking the entire machine. And then also it has self-backlapping. I know that some of the John Deeres, especially the E-Series, has a self-backlapping. That became a huge thing for me. You know, I was really tired of using the drill, especially if you're having to use one hand and have the other hand brushing the compound on the blades. So this model allows you to do self-backlapping freely. And I'll get into that later on and show you how they do that. Also, it comes with a Honda engine, which is an engine that we're all familiar with and know that it's extremely reliable. Now, the Kawasaki's and the Subarus that are with the 1600, totally nothing wrong with those engines at all. But it was great to see that they upgraded to the Honda. Some of the key differences with this mower is you no longer have a lever that runs your clutch to make the mower go forward. It's functioned on a clutch bell, which is this handle that you squeeze right here that allows the mower to move forward. You still have a lever that engages the reel. Remember when we had the 1600, the lever was actually down here to engage and disengage the reel. Well, now you have it up here to engage and disengage the reel. And also the reel and the drum are completely independent of each other, as versus the 1600, they were dependent on each other. So with the 1600, in order to cut grass, your drum has to be moving forward. In this case, you're able to actually still cut it and disengage the rear drum and push it. Now, I don't know any good reason why anyone would want to do that because the mower is pretty heavy. But if you wanted the option to push the mower without using the rear drum and cut, you can do that. And you can also pull it back and cut as well. One different thing is there's no grease fittings on this mower. Everything's all internal. So the grease stays within the housing of where all the belts are. To engage the rear drum, you would want to switch this from neutral into drive, and then when you squeeze this bell, it'll allow the mower to push forward, and then when you're ready to cut, you would just push this down and then squeeze it, and then the drum and the reel will both be spinning together. Given that this mower is much heavier, it does have this additional handle which allows you to adjust this telescopic handle higher and lower for people with different heights. Me being a short person, I kept mine from second to lowest. Now when I was using the 1600, it was definitely easy to get it on a kickstand just by pushing this down and lifting up from the handles. That's no longer the case now. You're actually going to have to use this handle down here and pull it up towards you like this in order to get it onto the kickstand. And then when you want to get it out, just put your foot on the kickstand and then push the mower forward, and then the spring will bring it back up right here. For your parking brake, it's this lever right here. You would squeeze this to stop the mower if it's in motion, and then you would just push down this parking brake to keep it locked in so that it won't move. To unlock it, you would just squeeze it to release the parking brake, and then you're able to freely push it. Just keep in mind that if the transmission is in gear, so if you take it out of neutral, now it's going to be a bit harder to push and pull back. Whenever you want to move it around without the engine being on, or just even if with the engine on, you'll put it in neutral so you can easily move it around. One of the newest features on this 1026 is you're able to adjust the reel speed and also the clip rate. To adjust the reel speed is this knob right here. There's an L and an H. What you do is just lift this up and turn it. If it's currently on L, you just turn it this way to get it to H. So now your reel speed will be spinning at a higher rate. The letter has to be facing toward the blades. If you want a lower reel speed, you would just reverse it and turn the L toward the blades. Now in order to adjust the clip rate, you would need to remove this housing here, which the belt resides in, that connects to the reel. One's a 22 tooth and one's a 24 tooth, and they basically switch places in order to go from high to low. The way it's set by Toro by default is on low clip rate, but when I got this mower and removed this, it was already set in the reverse fashion of a high clip rate. Like I said, this mower came from a golf course, so I was imagining they were cutting at extremely low height cuts, so that's why they had a high clip rate going up here, and then they also had a high speed on the reel. Now as far as clip rate and reel speed, I'm still playing around with it. I haven't determined what's good for my height of cut. With me cutting at 0.6, I don't think I need it at the high setting. So I haven't adjusted the clip rate yet, which is already set to high here. But I have played around with the reel speed from between low and high. And I haven't really noticed a significant difference between the two. But I'm going to continue to test that out and report back to you later on. The rear drums in this model have no dimples, like how the 1600 has them. I didn't notice much of a difference in feel. It did make a lot less noise when driving over the concrete versus the 1600. And I did notice that turning the mower around in a U-turn was a bit smoother than the 1600 was. So they've done something here to make it more convenient to make those turns back when you're coming down your stripe. One important feature on this mower is that there's an adjustable rear drum. There's two settings on it, a low setting and a high setting. In order to set the drum in a higher position, there's two bolts here on each side that you would loosen. First, set this mower on a kickstand so that the wheels are free. And then you would loosen the bolts on each side so that the side mounts of the drum become loose, and then you're able to push it forward and back. This will set the drum either higher or lower. Position 1 is the lower position, position 2 is the higher position, and this gives you a wider range of height cuts. So I believe with position 1 you can go from 0.062 inches to 0.25 of an inch, and then with position 2, which is the higher one, you can go from 0.25 to 0.625. You're adjusting between the high position and low position in your rear drum. It's the difference in height of cut is going to be 0.15 of an inch. So if let's say for example you're at 0.6, which I am, if I were to move the drum to the lower position, that's going to put me roughly around 0.45. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about the reel and Bedknife. As I mentioned before, the new series on these Toro Greens mowers come with an Edge Max Steel Bedknife and an Edge Series reel, which is totally different from the standard reel and the standard Bedknife that you get in the 1600. Now I don't know the details exactly about it, but I do know that the Edge Series reel, the point of contact with the Bedknife is in 3 points here as it's shown, 1, 2, 3. Now if you go look at their 1600, the old ones, they actually have 4 points of contact. And the only thing I've read up on this is that this new technology with the Edge Series reel allows the edges to remain sharper and not wear out the Bedknife as quickly as it used to. It's a new helix pattern design also on the reel, which allows it to throw the grass more evenly into the grass catcher. Other than that, there's not much more information that I know about it at the moment. By default, The bed knife that comes with this mower is supposed to be the tournament cut Edge Max. When I got this mower, it actually was using a standard tournament cut, which I assumed the golf course had changed out when they were using this mower. So I read up on Toro's documentation. It did mention not to mix an Edge Series reel with a standard bed knife, which in this case I have this going on. It could potentially reduce the life of the reel much faster, and also could potentially damage it as well. I'm kind of stuck with that situation. I don't know what I would do at this point. It is cutting paper all the way across, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, so I'm stuck with the tournament cut right now, which is the Toro part number 94-5885. The tournament cut cuts best between the height of cut ranges from 1/8 to half an inch. Here, my height of cut is 0.6. I may not be getting the best cut with this reel. I did notice that the angle of this bend knife is much more aggressive. When I first started cutting with this mower, I was noticing some scalp marks in the lawn. So I'll definitely have to keep an eye on that to see what ends up happening cutting at 0.6 of an inch. I will mention that if down the road I want to cut at higher heights of cut, such as 3/4 of an inch, I'm not sure if I can even switch it out with a high cut bend knife. I really did enjoy having that on my Toro 1600. It did very well with the standard reel that was on there, also with the standard bend knife. Unfortunately, Edge Max doesn't come in low cut or high cut profiles. They only come in tournament cut and micro cut, specifically made just for putting greens and tee boxes. So I might be having to reduce my height of cut down the road if I want to get my lawn looking super clean. Let me talk about the self backlapping real quick and show you how it works. First thing you want to do is get this on the stand. So I'll go and pull this up here. You're going to want to take the left wheel off. There is something that's called the backlap kit, and it's basically just this little hex tool that you need to order that's separate from the mower, but this allows you to put the wheel on. There is a bolt that needs to go in to lock this into place. What you do need to do before all this, you need to loosen this reel control so that the tires touch each other. And what's going to happen is that once you have this on, you want to put this in drive. So once you turn on the mower, you're going to be squeezing the clutch bale, and this is going to be spinning this wheel, which is spinning this one. You can see the reels going backwards. Now the engine does have to be on when you're doing this. A bit of a downside to this is that you're going to be smelling fumes while you're backlapping, but your hands are free, so you can actually just sit here and just let this thing run back by itself, and then just glide your brush across with your compound. Alright, let me talk about the big mistake. So, not reading up on Toro's documentation on this mower, I had assumed the height of cut can go up to the same height of cuts as the 1600. Not knowing that this bracket was shorter for the front roller, I was going past the maximum height of cut, and then I caused this piece that was holding the adjustment bolt, a little tab here, had broken off with excessive force. So I freaked out and I immediately contacted Kevin, and I was like, man, I just broke the thing and I don't know why the front rollers aren't adjusting. They're not going past half an inch. But it turns out that all I needed to do was just adjust the rear drum, and then I could have gotten to the 0.6 inches that I was looking for. But not knowing that, I had forced the adjustment bolt to go past its maximum height. Obviously, it wasn't going to go anymore because this lock nut had already reached the top part of the bracket. So the only thing left was to have this piece break off. And in order to replace this part, it's actually the whole side frame of the cutting unit, which is a big deal. Now in the old Greensmasters, the 1600s and the 1000s, this part was actually just separate. You could just replace the part that was holding the bolt. But in this case, now you're having to replace the entire side frame of it. So I was pretty bummed out about that situation. Just got the mower and now I'm not going to be able to use it. But then I started assessing the damage and realized that this tab where the adjustment bolt is placed on really has no significant impact on the height of cut. It's actually just there to keep it in place. So I ended up getting some JB Weld, the strong bond that resists 5,000 psi pressure, and I put it there, and so far it's holding up very well. So for the time being, I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I don't think it's gonna crack or break again. But if it does, then I'll end up looking for that part to replace this entire side frame. Just keep in mind, if you do get this mower, that your maximum height of cut is 5/8 of an inch. And you do need to adjust the rear drum in order to get to that point. Otherwise, you're stuck at 1/2 inch, and don't try to force the height any higher than that. And as I mentioned before, you can get a separate height of cut kit, which I believe is just these brackets, giving you more space, allowing the roller to have more room to go up and down. So now you know. Alright, we really dug into the Toro GM 1026 today, comparing it feature to feature with my beloved GM 1600. While the 1600 was a true workhorse on my lawn, the 1026 is the next leap forward. We've seen how the refined design, the lighter footprint, and an advanced reel system that promises to give a more precise cut and smoother operation. I can't wait to show you the results of my lawn after using this 1026 for a while, so stay tuned. So what are your thoughts on the mower? Leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button. And if you're new here or haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more lawn care adventures. Thanks for watching. Keep those lawns looking sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.